The flickering screen cast long shadows across the room, the only illumination in the suffocating darkness. I remember the case like it was yesterday, though the years have blurred the edges of the nightmare. It started subtly, a whisper on the wind, a murmur in the news, building into a deafening roar. They called it trial by media, and it was a different kind of horror, one that devoured souls long before the final judgment. It began with Sarah, a young woman accused of a crime so heinous it chilled the blood. The details, leaked with malicious intent, painted her as a monster. The media, hungry for ratings, seized upon the narrative, twisting facts, amplifying rumors, and creating a public frenzy. The court of public opinion convened long before the actual trial, and the verdict was already decided guilty. I was there, a fly on the wall, watching the process unfold. The faces in the courtroom were a blur of judgment and hatred. Every headline screamed her guilt. Every broadcast painted her as a demon. The evidence, often circumstantial and open to interpretation, was overshadowed by the sheer weight of public outrage. The atmosphere was thick with tension, a palpable dread that clung to the air. Sarah, a ghost in her own life, looked lost and broken. The constant scrutiny, the relentless accusations, the feeling of being utterly alone in a sea of condemnation. It was a slow, agonizing death. The real horror wasn't the crime itself, but the way her life was destroyed before a single piece of evidence was presented in a fair trial. The media's portrayal had already poisoned the well, making a fair judgment impossible. The jury, bombarded with prejudiced information, was tainted before the trial even started. I remember one particular evening, sitting in the courtroom, the air heavy with unspoken accusations. I saw a man in the front row, his face contorted in anger, whispering hateful words. He, like many others, had already condemned her. They had no interest in the truth, only in the confirmation of their preconceived notions. As the trial progressed, the evidence slowly chipped away at the initial narrative. Witnesses recanted, inconsistencies emerged, and doubts began to surface. But it was too late. The damage was done. The court of public opinion had already sealed her fate. Even after her acquittal, the scars remained. The media, having fueled the flames of hatred, moved on, leaving Sarah to pick up the shattered pieces of her life. The public, fickle as always, had already forgotten. But she hadn't. She couldn't. The lingering impression, the true horror, wasn't just the destruction of one life, but the chilling realization that this could happen to anyone. That the media, with its relentless power, could convict before the court, turning us all into potential victims. The darkness lingers, a constant reminder that truth is fragile, and justice is often sacrificed at the altar of sensationalism. The most frightening part? It's happening still, right now, in the shadows, where the truth gets lost in the noise.